Man, I'm excited to kick this one off. The reason why I'm excited to kick this one off is because this is a haircut that I see a lot of people perform and use enhancements to actually get the end result that they want to achieve. You don't have to necessarily do that. So I'm gonna show you today how I do it. Now, what I'm doing right now is I got a 1 on and I got it open, which makes it a 1.5. With that 1.5, I'm using the Andis Masters. Now, one thing about the Andis Masters that I really like is how they cut their hair down and how they fade. Now, normally I go with about 1 3/4 on this hair and I use a detachable blade. But I decided to go down a little length lower with the Masters because I felt like I love the way they perform. You'll notice that my client does have some hat head in some areas, and I don't necessarily show you the clip, but I got some tricks to make the hat head go away. A lot of times you'll cut people's hair, and because they've been wearing a hat, the waves and the hair tend to go different directions, or even if they lay on their head a certain way, it's going to make their hair go many different directions and kind of alter your cut. At some point, you want to try to get the hair to lay down as aligned with what you want as possible. What I did with him is I brushed his hair a lot and I combed through it. I didn't necessarily show that. I also, at a point, not yet though, I also put a product in there, and the product basically helped their hair to lay down and get stuck out of the old pattern that it was in. So right now it doesn't look as clean as it will at the end, but you'll start to see a change as things go on. But the main focus that I have right now is making sure that I get good strokes in, and they don't have to be huge. Just make sure that you're going in the direction of the hair. Go as far as you can in the direction of the hair, but if anything changes, you gotta stop and you gotta readjust. You don't want to cut people's hair the wrong direction. As you can see, his hair kind of goes with a swoop to the left. And so with that being said, I gotta follow that, and I can't really switch up what I want it to be because it won't be right. Now, if I was going against the grain, that would be totally different. But we're not. We're going with the grain. So with that being said, we want to make sure that we get it down as low as possible. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm prepping my line. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So many people don't prep the line. I don't know why, but it's not helpful. Listen, I went through that for many years. A barber that actually is on the internet all the time, and I'll get his name in the description. He taught me basically that taking some alcohol and putting it on the line cleans up the skin, and it also helps the hair. And it also dries the skin so that when you line it up, it's more crispy. Crazy, I'm giving away them clues. But make sure you prep your line. Another part of prepping the line is getting it down to the desired length as well. And you'll see more of that as you see more of my style and how I do things. Right now we're getting into the fade. So when I fade, I down fade. So I started with the 8 or a 1 as you call it, the 1 open, and I'm just gonna work my way through that. There's no really secret to how to do it because each hair is different. Each type of hair is different. So what you want to do is you want to start as the same steps that I always have said with each guard, and that's to go from open, halfway to close, or the opposite direction. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm finding his hair. I'm finding out any spot that's supposed to be on the 8th level or the 1 as you call it. I'm making sure that that is cut down to the desired length. So I'm really blending into the hair. And a lot of people do the other things when they create the guidelines and then they take the guidelines and they do it that way. But see, for me, that's an extra step. I feel like if I'm fading the whole time, I'm fading, if that makes sense. Y'all feel me? So right now I got the 16, and I'm gonna do the same process. And so in that process, it doesn't matter if you're directly in the middle when you're on the middle with the lever. Just make sure that you got 3 decent lengths that you start with. And if you have to go back and have some trigger play, that's fine. Don't feel like you gotta be restricted to your own process. Make sure that you see the places and the things that you want to change in your face. So that's part of mastery, is just understanding how to kind of break the rules, if that makes sense. I'm prepping the line again. Alert, it's coming. I'm prepping that line. You seen the spray. Maybe if you look close enough, you can find out what it is. Now I won't hate. OG Walker on Instagram. Dope Barber. Dope Barber. It's his product. Check him out. He has a lot of different products, but basically that's like a spritz. So what you do with the spritz is basically is to lay the hair down, to get it that crisp. I see, as you can see, the line is lined in there like effortlessly. I'm using a pair of Rim Pros. The Rim Pros, you gotta do a little modification so that you can put the wall blade on there. These are my favorite liners. As you can see, they get the line really, really crisp, and that's what it's all about. And if you notice, the product is in there now too. I didn't want to put the product in it while I was cutting it, but now that I'm getting to the fading part, I put it in there. Now, with the taper, you notice that I didn't just do the blade with the fade. I didn't do just the blade open, close, or any of that. The reason for that is because I really love to see the fade after the line is put in. I used to be the other way, but now I feel like once I put that line in there, now I can make sure my fade placement is right. Ooh, look at that line. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be impressing myself. We're blessed, we're blessed. So I'm trying to give as much clues I can to the game. It's not like I can give everything to you. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going in with the blade open. Oh, I apologize, I got the 16th out. So basically I'm just feeling the fade out, getting it blurry, adding detail. The difference between good and great is in the details. It's small things, it's not big things, it's not huge adjustments. You guys are great barbers, but you gotta take the time out to figure out certain things and add more detail to whatever it is you do. And that's when you take yourself to the next level. So, now we're getting into the line portion. The most important thing to me with lining is looking at what you have and taking away as little as possible. You don't want to get caught up in pushing people's line back. Now I know some of these clips aren't the most clear and you can see what I'm doing. Understand, no line is straight really. So what I had to do is I had to lean him down so that I could see the shape, the circle of his hair. And as I put the line in there and see the little spots that are missing, not what I'm gonna do as the line the whole head up, but mainly touch the spots that need the attention first. And then I go in and I tighten up everything from a different perspective. Your first perspective is with the head down, and you don't have to do this in the exact order that I say. I'm just giving you some tips. When the head is down, you're gonna see the roundness of the head. So a lot of times you see that line and you just see the straight line. It's straight, but it's not really straight. It's more round than you think. And you get that perspective from looking over the head, and you get that perspective from making them lean down. So, like I say, sometimes you gotta lean your client's head down, but the main thing is understand that you gotta control your client's head. Right now, I'm putting in the bald outlines. You can curve those, you can do a lot of different things. I chose to keep them straight just because he's been getting this fade for a while, and that's just the style that he likes. Great client, can't say enough about how much of a great client he is. He likes to have his haircut very nice and sharp, and I just try to make sure I give him the best haircut I can. Right now what I'm doing is I'm the down fade right now, but see, more than down fade, it's like I'm sculpting my canvas. I seen that I had this bulk, and I wanted to feather it out. I want to get it out of there, you know what I'm saying? The flick of the wrist. I can't really explain to you that process, but watch how it works. I want to try to get everything on the same level so that I can add in the details. So right now, I did the 2 on both sides. by doing that, I make sure that I keep my fade placement. You know, it's very good. It's very important, I should say, to be symmetrical. A lot of barbers aren't as symmetrical as they can be, so we want to make sure that they're very symmetrical if possible. So now I got out the 8th. Right now, like I say, it's all about touch, finesse. You know, you can't just, you see, I'm not, if you look at, his head isn't moving around and jumping because I'm not pushing hard. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of gliding. And that's what gives me a touch, you know. When you have the right touch, you'll notice that your clients, you know, will be more relaxed. And that's what you want. You want to provide a service that is calming. You don't want to provide that service that's, you know, got them all upset or frustrated or alarmed or anything like that. You want them to feel like, you know, they in the right chair. And that's what it's about. So right there, if you look at different perspectives, as you can see how my wrist is turned up to the side. When I came to the side, I started to see hair that was sticking up. So I just went ahead and went with the grain and brought it back down. It's very important that that fade fades, even coming with the grain. You'll understand more of what I'm saying as time goes on. So right now I got the blade open and I'm starting to attack that line. Now, I could have started with the blade closed and went directly at the line. It's all about fade placement. And so with the fade placement, I want to make sure that it's looking exactly how I want. So sometimes starting with it open helps me to see how short it's going to cut it, which allows me to have an understanding of how to hold my clipper. Also understand, when you start to flip that clipper up a little bit, it takes off a different amount of hair. When it's flat against the head, it takes off the most, or right where that arc is. And then when you take it off and you just got the teeth touching, that actually cuts hair at a different level. It's almost an 1/8. It's really a 16th, but it's pretty high. So you gotta pay attention to how I'm flicking my wrist. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm a fast feed fanatic. But what I love about the Masters is they give such detail. But it's very slow and methodical sometimes to me cutting with the Masters. So not always gonna have the Masters out, but you definitely gonna see my fast feeds. I'm not sold on cordless just yet. I've spent too much money on clippers that have broken down on me, and I got clippers that I've had almost my whole barber career that have cords to them. So I don't like right now that they're selling the clippers so high but not the same integrity. But that's just my opinion. I'm loving the thoughts and the ideas and the creativity, and you know, maybe I'll get over the cost at some point in my life. But anyway, even that's starting to change because there's different people doing different things. As you can see, I did the same step on both sides. This is the balding part. It's the most important part of the fade to a lot of people. How it looks where it balls out. If you understand, like, there's no enhancements on that vertical bar that you see. It's because I put the line first that helps me to just put the fade exactly where I want it at. You know, and that's not to say that the fade is going to be perfect. You're going to start to see that the line will start to uncrispen a little bit, as I'll call it. But we'll get it back sticky, you know. The whole thing about lining for me is like starting with the line and as quick as possible helps you to have another opportunity at the end to tighten things up. I don't think enough barbers take enough time to tighten things up, but maybe that'll change. But tighten it up is a little different than putting the line in. When you tighten it up, you're trying to take as little hair, as little details, you're just trying to make it sharper, you know? So now, we're going into the beard section. With the beard section, you'll see that he wants to try to keep his up high, but he wants a nice crispy line on there. And when you're doing this, sometimes on someone's face, it's hard to get it crispy if you're not using a razor. And it's not because your liners aren't good or any of that. Because I mean, I could take the liner, but sometimes those liners you're using on people's foreheads are too sharp for the face. So the actual, ironically enough, the blade is as sharp as you can get. But what I mean, you know, you see I took extra precautions where I'm actually putting a shave cream on there. That's, I think, 245 that I'm using. Right there, you can see I'm trying to measure it. When you put your client's head back against the headrest, it helps you to get a naturally nice arch on the beard that you're trying to achieve. So sometimes, being lazy and not putting your client's head back can really, I don't know, make your cut lazy. But sometimes you do need that quickness. So, once you know what it is and how you want it to look, you can kind of see it without leaning them back. But my suggestion is, for a lot of beginner barbers, is go ahead and lean your client back, man. And a part of that is a part of the catering to your client part too, because it's very relaxing once they get used to it. And it's kind of like, once your haircuts start going in stages, they know where you're at and about how far you are to being complete. And a lot of that adds to the comfort factor, security. That's what locks in clients. So right now I'm going through and I'm just lining up the mustache. There's no right or wrong way to do mustaches unless the client asks you not to do it that way, if that makes sense. There are a lot of different styles out there, but for the most part, I just like mine to be symmetrical, look the same on both sides. You can do the triangle shape for some of the mustaches, but on this one, I chose to more just go with the shape of the actual mouth. And so that's how I got it to look the way that it looks. And it just runs parallel with the line underneath it. And that's very important, Understanding your angles and understanding things have to be symmetrical makes a big difference, Right now we're going into the razor part. With the razor, what I'm doing right now is just pulling the hair right over to the spot. I'm not doing no major razor shave. I'm just making sure that it's crisp. I don't have to use any type of shave gel for that because it works that way. And sometimes when you have a shave gel, it's not going to give you a true line until the second time around. Not sometimes, it's about every time. You have to comb it out or wipe it off, and then you'll see that, oh, that's not even a true line. So sometimes not having a shave gel helps for me. It's my preference, personally. Right now, what I was telling you is basically that you'll see the line better with the head behind tilted back, and I won't say better, but it's another perspective, and you'll see anything. Sometimes when you're looking at the head, you're like, I wonder why it still looks crooked. And you tilt the head back and you'll see the minor mistake that's there, minor imperfection. So it's very important for you to check your work from different perspectives or different angles, different viewpoints. The shaver is just helping to bring the blur out in the fade. As you can see, it just made it a little bit more blurry, which is what we want. We want levels to the fade, and you can never stop, getting better at it. I did it to both sides. I don't think I put the other clip in there. May have lost it, whatever the case was. Oh, there we go. So right now, basically, I'm just fine-tuning everything, touching it up. And what that's all about is just making sure that all the hairs are as low as possible. That's almost like using a razor. It's a Norelco 3000, I think, series or something like that. So it's a pretty good shaver, and it doesn't hurt. Better than Andis to me. Finished product. Like, share, subscribe. This is what we doing. No enhancements, just work. Stay blessed. Stay blessed. Stay blessed.